Hi, I'd like to talk about planning a research project. Now, the reason why I want to talk about research projects is because in um, supervising a number of student research projects, master's research projects, PhDs, I find that I'm essentially giving the same advice and answering the same questions repeatedly. So it's worthwhile to try and condense this in many ways. Now, we'll start with the beginning, which is planning the research project. Now, frequently, people don't think of it in terms of planning. They think of it in terms of the introduction. Now, that's not true. We actually do need to plan the project. Now, the purpose of planning a research project is to determine at the outset what is it we're trying to investigate and why. So we need to clearly identify the problem. We need to ensure we've got motivations for solving it. We need to know some fairly clear criteria by which we know whether we've solved it or not, or whether we've completed the investigation or not. And we need to know how this project contributes to long-term goals. Now, at the end of this, I'll give you a succinct and less formal summary of those. But we'll start off with looking at what is the problem. Now, too often people start in with some sort of research and say, well, I know about this and I'm kind of curious about that, so I'll go over and have a look at over in this general direction. No, this is not a proposal. Bear in mind that you're spending somebody's resources. Now, unless you happen to be rich enough where you can indulge yourself in research, then somebody's paying for this, and you have to propose to them some kind of a business case about why they should spend the money on you investigating this. Now, the first thing they're going to want to know is, what's the problem you're looking at? Can you describe or define that problem? Now, can you then say, why is it a problem? You might be able to describe it, but is it actually a problem, or is it just you who think this is a problem? Now, if it is actually a problem, it should exist whether you think it's a problem or not. Why is it worth investigation? There's some problems in the world that, we know there are problems, but they're not actually that important as things go. Now, the last thing we need to know before we get on with this, we know we've got a problem. We know that it is a problem. We know that it's pretty interesting and it's worth solving. But who's going to benefit? This you could label the who cares test. So you've got this thing, you're proposing to investigate this, assuming you come up with a solution. Who cares? Who's going to notice? Now this, if you're talking to a company, is a very interesting question. This is what they're going to want to know. Who cares? Now, examples of problems, I've got a couple there. How do agile software developers improve their methods? Not improve the project. How do they improve the methods? How do they get better at their techniques? How do they get better at software engineering? A second one there is, are process improvements made to the process as specified or the process as performed? Now, we know that there's a difference between what process the process as it's described and the process as it's performed. And this is usually because of the specific circumstances of the day. Now, when we do a process improvement, are we trying to match the two together, or are we trying to improve the method in its situation, or are we trying to improve the general description of it all? This is something that's I think worthy of investigation, because otherwise we're spending money in the wrong place. This is something that's I think worthy of investigation, because otherwise we're research aim. You really ought to try and research aim. You really ought to try and enduring concern. For example, enduring concern. For example, quality of something, or we're trying to quality of something, or we're trying to cost. This is an enduring concern of the industry. This is the cost. This is an enduring concern of the industry. This is the software developed at ABC company, or to find better ways to recruit the right people. This is software developed at ABC company, or to find better ways to recruit the right people. This aim, we want to narrow it down for what are we going to do in aim. We want to narrow it down for what are we going to do in this project. These are the specific goals of this specific project. What is this project going to do? What is it going to discover? What is it going to find out? The objectives should be testable. It should be possible to examine the objectives and be able to determine where the project is in relation to those objectives, or has it succeeded or not. It doesn't mean that the investigation should have been successful, but we should be able to know whether we've reached the end. Did it work out or not? But we reached the end of the project, we can shut it down. Now, for example, specific research objectives. Determine if Fagan inspections yield better error detection rates than peer reviews. Nice, clean, testable objective. We can go and measure them both, and we can compare the two, and we can get an answer. Or we can go and measure them both, and we can compare the two, and we can say, look, we can't tell. Okay? We can find out. Another one, determine if psychometric tests are better than interviews at predicting workplace suitability. So we've got two specific things we can compare, and a criteria by which to compare them. We can do that and probably get an answer. So in summary then, when you're planning a project, try to achieve the following things. Describe what is the problem? Why is it a problem? Why is it interesting?